Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Jaya Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayantiraya Nashtakrayeshu Vantreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttam Shloke Uttar Bhavati Naishtaki. So continuing with the discussion on Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Antya Lila, chapter 5, how Pradyumna Mishra received instructions from Ramanand Pai, text 86 onwards. So yesterday we discussed how this special characteristic of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, first glorifying his devotee and then making sure that, like in this case, Pradyumna Mishra, Brahman, would go take instructions from Ramanand Pai, who's a Grihastha born in a Shudra family. So no discrimination here. It means one who's a devotee, he is superior. That's all. हरिदास द्वारा नाम महात्म्य प्रकाश सनातन द्वारा bhakti siddhant vilas. His Chaitanya Mahaprabhu exhibited the glories of the holy name of the Lord through Haridas Thakur, who was born in a Muslim family. Similarly, he exhibited the essence of devotion service through Sanatan Goswami, who had almost been converted into a Muslim. Shirupa Dwara Brajera Prema Rasa Leela Kebo Jite Pare Gambhir Chaitanya Rakhela. Also, the Lord fully exhibited the ecstatic love and transcendental pastimes of Vrindavan through Srila Rupa Goswami. Considering all this, who can understand the deep plans of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? Sri Chaitanya Lila5 Sindhu Trijagat Bhashaite Pare Yare Kabindu. The activities of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu are just like an ocean of nectar. Even a drop of this ocean can inundate all the three worlds. To inundate the three worlds with nectar is the purpose of the pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. How this could be possible was exhibited by Srila Raghunath Das Goswami and later by Thakur Narottam Das and Shyamanand Goswami, who all represented the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Now that same mercy is overflooding the entire world through the Krishna consciousness movement. The present Krishna consciousness movement is not different from the pastimes performed by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu when he was personally present, for the same principles are being followed and the same actions performed without fail. So even a drop of this ocean of nectarian pastimes of Krishna, or of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And this is even after 6 Goswamis, as Prabhupada said, Narottam Das Thakur, then Shyamanand Goswami, and then other following acharyas, coming down to this Acharya Parampara, Prabhupada. Prabhupada really, literally took it all over the world and spread it, and it is still growing, still growing. And as Prabhupada says, that the movement is growing for the same principles are being followed and the same actions performed without fail. So this is a key. If we follow the same principles as Prabhupada established, then there is no stopping of this movement. Chaitanya Charitamrita Nitya Karapana Yaha Haite Premananda Bhakti Tattva Gyan. O devotees, relish daily the nectar of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita and the pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. For by doing so, one can merge in transcendental bliss and attain full knowledge of devotion service. Ei Mata Mahaprabhu Bhakta Gana Laya Nila Chale Viharaya Bhakti Prachariya. Thus Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, accompanied by his associates, his pure devotees, enjoyed transcendental bliss in Jagannath Puri, Nilachala, by preaching the bhakti cult in many ways. Bangladeshi ek vipra prabhu racharite. Natak kari laya aila prabhu ke shunaite. A Brahmin from Bengal wrote a drama about the characteristics of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and came with his manuscript to induce the Lord to hear it. Now this is another wonderful pastime. भगवान आचार्य सने तार परिचय तारे मिली तार घरे करीला आला. The Brahman was acquainted with Bhagwan Acharya, one of the devotees of Sri Chaitanya Prabhu. Therefore, after meeting him at Jagannath Puri, the Brahman made his residence at Bhagwan Acharya's home. So we read about Bhagwan Acharya earlier. He had some, I believe he had some Mayavadi tinge to his philosophy, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu just didn't want to meet him. He avoided him. प्रथमे नाटक ते हो तारे सुनाईला तारे संगे अनेक वैष्णव नाटक सुनीला. First, a Brahman induced Bhagwan Acharya to hear the drama, and then many other devotees joined Bhagwan Acharya in listening to it. Sabai prashamse natak param uttam Mahaprabhu re shunaite sabara hailaman. All the Vaishnavas praised the drama, saying, very good, very good. They also desired that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu hear the drama. Gita Shloka Grantha Kavitva Jai Kare Ane Prathame Shunai Se Swarupe Rasthane. Customarily, anyone who composed a song, verse, literary composition, or poem about Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu first had to bring it to Swarup Damodar Goswami to be heard. Now it's a glorification of Swarup Damodar Goswami is coming up. Swarup Thai Uttare Yadi Laya Taraman Tabe Mahaprabhu Thai Karaye Shravan. If passed by Swarup Damodar Goswami, it could be presented for Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to hear. Now, why this filter? So Swarup Damodar Goswami could see if whatever composition it is, it's properly tattva-wise. There is no Mayavad tinge, there is no impersonalist philosophy coming inside, because that would disturb the mood of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and nobody wanted that. So everything had to go through Swarup Damodar Goswami. रासभास है यदि सिद्धांत विरोध सहित न पारे प्रभु मने है क्रोध. If there were a hint that transcendental mellows overlapped in a manner contrary to the principles of the bhakti cult, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would not tolerate it and would become very angry. So Rasabhas Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj has described. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur quotes the following definition of Rasabhas from Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. A mellow temporarily appearing transcendental, but contradicting mellows previously stated and lacking some of a mellow's necessities is called Rasabhas. An overlapping mellow by advanced devotees who know how to taste transcendental mellows. It's technically written that way. Just to understand, mellows means rasa or the mood between devotee and the Lord. Now, if the person who's writing the composition is not advanced enough, then in one line he could write something else, next line he could write something else, then the mood would be different. For neophytes like us, we won't notice anything. Just like it was written, other devotees, they heard and they were, oh, it's very nice, very nice. But if it goes through the scholars' checkpoint, then they can point out the mistakes. And of course, people make mistakes. But the wrong composition should not go to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. That was the point. If it lacks in proper principle, tattva. Such mellows are called uparas, sub-mellows, anuras, imitation, transcendental mellows, and aparas, opposing transcendental mellows. Thus, the overlapping of transcendental mellows is described here as being first grade, second grade, or third grade. When the 12 mellows, such as neutrality, shant, dasya, servitorship, and friendship, are characterized by adverse sthai bhav, vibhav, anubhav ecstasies, they are known as uparas, sub-mellows. Now again, it's very, very technical. So even I'm not saying, even I don't know all these technicalities. But let's see what Prabhupada writes. When the seven indirect transcendental mellows and the dried up mellow of neutrality are produced by devotees, and moods not directly related to Krishna and devotional service and ecstatic love, they are described as anuras or imitation mellows. If Krishna and the enemies who harbor feelings of opposition toward him are respectively the object and abodes of laughter and other secondary mellows, the resulting feelings are called aparas or opposing mellows. Experts in distinguishing one mellow from another sometimes accept some overlapping transcendental mellows, rasabhas, as rasas due to their being pleasurable and tasteful. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, Paraspar Varyor Yadi Yogas Tada Rasabhas Bhasa. When two opposing transcendental mellows overlap, they produce rasabhas, or an overlapping of transcendental mellows. See how careful all these compositions have to be, how technically, principally correct they have to be. It's not just anybody writing anything. Just like of course, this is we are talking very, very neophyte and just a music composer. If you know the person who composed the music and lyrics for Mahabharat serial, Ravindra Jain. So he liked what Prabhupada did. Now he was a song composer, music composer. So he wrote for Prabhupada's glorification. It's from his viewpoint, which is great, fine. It sounds very good, but I don't know how Prabhupada would have reacted. He said, "Oh, भारत का एक संत गया अमेरिका और उसने वहां लगा दिया सबके माथे पर टीका." So yeah, it rhymes good, but this is what he wrote. Of course, there's nothing to do with Krishna or the rasa or pastimes, but of course, this generated lots of clapping from devotees' side. Because we don't know much about all these technical points of ras abhas. So another reason, yes, from our sentiments we can create something, but the reason why we should read and follow acharyas, also one of the reasons is this, because they don't make mistakes. We do. So we just follow the acharyas, simple as that. And when if we have a strong desire and then if we are ready, then Krishna can guide us from within to write some compositions if we want and if we are eligible for it. Krishna can do anything. What's the big deal for him? अतएव प्रभु के छु आगे नाही सुने यही मर्यादा प्रभु कर याचे दिया हमें. Therefore, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would not hear anything before Swarup Damodar heard it first. The Lord made this etiquette a regulative principle. Swarupera Thai Acharya Kaila Nivedana Ek Vipra Prabhur Natak Kariya Cheutama. Bhagwan Acharya submitted to Swarup Damodar Goswami. A good Brahman has prepared a drama about Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that appears exceptionally well composed. Ado tumi shuna yadi tomare man mane, pache Mahaprabhu re tabe karaimu shravane. First you hear it, and if it is acceptable to your mind, I shall request Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to hear it. Swarup kahe tumi gop param udara, yei se shastra shunte ichha upaje tomara. Swarup Damodar Goswami replied, my dear Bhagwan Acharya, you are a very liberal cowherd boy. Sometimes the desire awakens within you to hear any kind of poetry. Yadva tadva kavira vake hai rasa bhasa, siddhant viruddha shunite nahaye ullasa. In the writings of so-called poets, there is generally a possibility of overlapping transcendental mellows. When the mellows thus go against a conclusive understanding, no one likes to hear such poetry. Yadva Tadva Kavi refers to anyone who writes poetry without knowledge of how to do so. Writing poetry, especially poetry concerning the Vaishnava conclusion, is very difficult. If one writes poetry without proper knowledge, there is every possibility that the mellows will overlap. When this occurs, no learned or advanced Vaishnava will like to hear it. Because they know there are issues with the philosophy, with the principles here. So they don't hear it, and they don't recommend anybody else to hear it. Actually, we become sentimental. Maybe he's envious, that's why he doesn't want everybody to hear such nice poetry or nice composition. No, if somebody is so advanced, so exalted, he's gone way beyond enviousness position. So that's why we need to follow. We need to follow properly. Rasa rasa bhasa yara, nahi kavichara, bhakti siddhanta sindhu, nahi pai para. A so-called poet who has no knowledge of transcendental mellows and the overlapping of transcendental mellows cannot cross the ocean of the conclusions of devotional service. Vyakaran nahi jane na jane alankara, nataka alankara jnana nahi ka jahara. Krishna Lila varnite na jane sahi chara, vishesha durga mai chaitanya vihara. A poet who does not know the grammatical regulative principles, who is unfamiliar with metaphorical ornaments, especially those employed in drama, and who does not know how to present the pastimes of Lord Krishna is condemned. Moreover, the pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu are especially difficult to understand. Krishna Lila, Gaura Lila, Shikare Varnana, Gaur Pada Padma Jara, Hai Pranadhan. One who has accepted the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as his life and soul can describe the pastimes of Lord Krishna or the pastimes of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Grame Kavir Kavitta Shunite Hai Dukha, Vidagda Atmiya Vakya Shunite Hai Sukha. Hearing the poetry of a person who has no transcendental knowledge and who writes about the relationships between man and women simply causes unhappiness, whereas hearing the words of a devotee fully absorbed in ecstatic love causes great happiness. So Grame Kavi refers to a poet or writer such as the authors of novels and other fiction who write only about the relationships between man and women. Vidagda Atmiya Vakya, however, refers to words written by a devotee who fully understands pure devotional service. Such devotees who follow the Parampara system are sometimes described as Sajatiyashva Snigdha, or pleasing to the same class of people. Only the poetry and other writings of such devotees are accepted with great happiness by devotees. Sajatiya. There's another term opposite of it as Vijatiya. Vijatiya. So not the same class of people, but exactly opposite of that. So Sajatiya means not any jati or caste. It's just the same class of people in the same parampara. So it's better to hear from the people of the same parampara. Then we won't get disturbed or confused. and going by this, Swarup Damodar Goswami saying there are so many Gramya Kavis means upstarts who don't know anything, or they like to write about novels, but not philosophical compositions. And we read about how Rupa Goswami wrote 100,000 verses. And if Rupa Goswami is writing something, definitely it is principle-wise, tattva-wise, it's perfect. And Jeev Goswami wrote 400,000 verses, all perfect. So what class of devotees they must be? रूप याइचे दुई नाटक करी याचे आरंभे शुनिते आनंद बाड़े जार मुख बंधे. The standard for writing dramas has been set by Rupa Goswami. If a devotee hears the introductory portions of his two dramas, they enhance his transcendental pleasure. So two dramas, Lalit Madhav and Vidagdha Madhav, Rupa Goswami wrote. And remember when at the house of Haridas Thakur, when Mahaprabhu glorified him, but Ramanand Rai asked him questions. So how have you introduced and other technical questions? And Rupa Goswami answered, and Ramanand Rai was satisfied. Yes, it is all philosophically correct. And then he could write further. And then it was approved by all the devotees. Yes, he's right. So even writing, it's not just we're writing novels. That's not what the acharyas are doing. Anyway, we'll read about it more tomorrow. We'll stop here. See anybody has any questions or comments. Okay, you all have safe and wonderful day. Hare Krishna. Jai Shri Radha.
Hare Krishna.